How you doing? Let me cook. I appreciate you tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this live art session. If you haven't already, consider subscribing so we can continue to connect and so you can join my living artist experience and journey. And like they say, let them cook. Appreciate you. Let me know if any piece I'm working on currently on this live connects with you or anybody in here. If they evoke any emotions, I'd love to know. If you feel comfortable, let me know in the chat. This is more than just a live art session. It's an interactive live art session where you guys can interact in the chat. Let me know how you feel about art, communicate with each other, be a part of the living experience of the art itself. The purpose of this current live series is to utilize my works and the interaction between everybody who tunes in during my live sessions or afterwards and interacts with the videos itself to create an end piece that will have a collage of all the finished pieces within this series along the way and the live stream videos all archived to display an interactive live stream series. How you doing, Tiffany? As time goes on, things will start to make sense with this series. This series was something that came about when I was painting live and decided to intertwine the interactive aspect of going live, for instance, on YouTube and utilizing the works that I'm currently creating while I'm on that live session. So in the end, I can display these works along with the live stream videos, along with a collage of chats within the live stream itself. So this is something that will formulate and come together as I continue to create more live streams and continue to connect with as many people as possible throughout this living journey because I'm not dead yet. What's going on, Jordan? I appreciate you tuning back in. And thank you, Tiffany. I appreciate that you connect with the art. I'm glad actually. It's more than appreciation. It's actually, I'm glad actually that you connect with it. Appreciating is something different, but when you connect with it, when you just feel it, that's a bonus for me. That's always the goal in the end. Art is subjective. So whatever I see through my emotions at the time, however I'm feeling in that moment, somebody else can see something different that evokes a whole different depiction of what I intended. And that's the beauty of art, abstraction. And the purpose of autonomy through your spiritual experience is to be able to experience truly how you feel, not how the artist feels in the end. Feel free to interact with each other in the chat. Just try to keep it positive, engage with each other, learn more about each other, get to know each other through art if you feel comfortable communicating, or as time goes by and you get used to the chat itself. I hope you're having a good day, Jordan. As well, Let Me Cook and Tiffany. Hope you all are having a great one. Yes, sir. It's the iconic halo. It's a representation of samsara. It's a representation of life and death. Life going full circle, coming back around, being reborn again, learning how to take those moments in life that we feel we're so attached to, not understanding that we can be reborn at any time of our existence, within our existence, as long as we choose that route. It's not about what other people think. It's about what personally elevates you as a human being in your spiritual experience. That's just my opinion. You know, different things work for different people. Different perspectives work for different, Life is just about perspective. It's about time. It's not bad, Jordan. Can't complain. What do you think about the perspective of repetition within art? Intertwined with style, individuality. I know what I said is broad, but I might be going somewhere with it. I might not. But I'm just curious. I have a thought about it. I don't know how to I could formulate it, but let's see what you say. What's your opinion? Think about it. I like that perspective. You're saying repetition in art is cool to me because soon repetition you can master it, leaving beautiful artworks and repeat. Okay, I like that perspective. I like that perspective. It's a very subjective, broad statement what I was, saying, but I like that perspective. Yeah, people are tuning in and out. A lot of people, you have some people tuning into the who engage, who feel comfortable in the chat. Some people just tuning in, viewing what I'm doing, you know, uh, peekabooing, like Kendrick said. Um, Usually until, everybody shows their love in different ways. But you got to understand as well, I've only been going live consistently within this platform for really the past 3 weeks. So I'm proud of how this series already has turned out. Even through the interactions and everything. There's about 150 pieces plus created on live. Uh, it doesn't look like that, but you'll see them posted on my community YouTube section by date, and then you'll see them numbered throughout this whole series currently very soon. Um, from format from beginning to up until continuing, so everybody can keep up with the series alone. Also, your jacket, do you ever wash it or you keep the paint stains? No, it gets washed, but the paint doesn't like come off. You feel me? Like, of course it gets washed, but this is just my studio jacket. Um, so the purpose of washing it is just to, clean it up, but not like take off all this stuff off this jacket. It also depends on depends. Where's my coffee? So the paint stays on you with you just like, oh man. Yeah, fam. It's not like I'm wearing this out everywhere. I do tend to wear out, like, if I'm already creating whatever and this is what I have on and I need to go somewhere really quick, it'll be on sometimes, whatever. But this is just studio jacket, whatever. All my clothes have paint on them. My pants, my sweats right now are about 4 years worth of paint. And now I just wear it because it's just representation of my studio practice, just my art practice in general. How you doing, Ben? I'm glad to see you back. Yeah, so along with me painting live and then creating this series out of um, literally out of thin air while I was creating live, instead of making the pieces a part of a certain series that I was working on, um, or rather not working on, but rather a ongoing life series titled Dear Diary, which is more personal in the sense of utilizing it as a real time journal aspect. But when I'm live, and I was doing that, and I transitioned over to make the series based off of the live stream itself and the interaction and the people who come into the live and decide to share their thoughts in the comments. Um, in the end, that will be part of the overall art piece. The chat itself is going to be collage somehow with on a canvas or so, and then showcasing these pieces, and then showcasing the documentation of all the live videos to showcase the process of me working on my sketches live or drawings live, whatever you want to call them. And then, truthfully, the whole purpose of this is for real time documentation, because I'm always documenting a lot more within my artist journey as far as recording while I'm creating works, um, especially now when I'm creating canvases, doing my best to get that documented behind the scenes for me, for my journey to have to display um, as I continue my artist journey. This is just another aspect to be able to document my process, but in real time and allow others to join the live, whether they want to interact or not. The purpose of this is not to force anybody to do anything that they don't want to do. The purpose of this is to do what I'm doing already by myself and just turning on the camera and documenting it and allowing whatever comes out of that process comes out of that process. For me, there is no motive or no clear direction just for going live in a general sense. Just like I said in the beginning, it was just me going live to show what I'm doing, interacting along that process, and just being me, showing me through my art, speaking through my art. And for anybody who wants to get to know more of my art, that's where the chat comes in. That's where you can interact more on a personal level. But for me, this is about life documentation. It's about proving, um, showing who I am as an artist, documenting my style, documenting my mind, my art, taking control of my narrative, taking control of who I am as an individual, right? I think everybody has a story, everybody has a purpose, everybody has a vision. But in the end, it's ultimately the individual's job to formulate their story how they want with authenticity, taking control of your own narrative. That's the 2026 phrase quote of the year. Take control of your own narrative. Don't wait for somebody else, because you'll be there forever, and then you'll just be lost in translation. Create your own story and just let it flow. You keep asking, what's the cat's name? Where do you see a cat? Nah, just like you talk about my two cats that I don't know. I might have shown one on live. There was only one time that I think they were in the background. But we got Tyson Soul, and Bella Kahlo Soul. And then Tyson's middle name. No, my cats are not coming out to the studio. It's too cold for them. In the what's it called? In the spring and the summer, you'll most likely see them more. What's it called? And hear them more. But at the same time, trust me, nobody wants to hear my cat meowing in the background either for a long time. So one of my cats loves to talk, and then my other one is quieter. It wouldn't make the live stream quite effective with them meowing all day. But my other one though, he's a little bit more quieter. She just has her times, but they like being around me when I'm creating art. Well, just in general, but they're studio cats at this point. They know when I'm creating. My one cat will usually like sit right here. That's why I named them. I gave them artist middle names. Based off the greats. What are the fans' name, by the way? I don't. I don't understand what you mean. Can you elaborate? Oh, I mean, I just say whatever, bro. Like I have a concept that I'm working on behind the scenes that started through digital painting and NFTs based off of Soul Friends World. Um, but it's not like something where I call all my supporters or anybody who supports my art or people I meet. I just call them soul family, soul friends. but that's based off of obviously Della Soul Child, and then also along that way, um, I've been working on like these characters based off of my artwork. So along that journey, I've created Soul Friends World, where I have certain characters that I created digitally that I've released through NFT forms, and then I have other digital paintings that are just in my private collection. That in along this journey, I'm formulating into this. I guess you could say character theme world, almost like I don't want to say cartoon, but cartoon based, right? I mean, I guess cartoon based would be the best example. But that's formulating in my own way, just letting that go with the flow. But along that journey, I'm creating these characters, probably get them onto canvases, introduce them like that, and just work on the storyline um, in time. Mr. Crab. Yeah, I mean, I would never name Mr. Crab because that's already like SpongeBob like. But that's funny though. The second, yo, not even. That doesn't look like Mr. Crab. That looks like Squidward, bro. Now that I'm looking at it, now that you mention it, that's funny though. That's a good one. See, it's all about perspective. See, there's always light through the dark. There's always light through the things that seem dark, at least, right? It's all about perspective. It's what the eyes see. That's why no matter how the artist feels within the work, at the end of the day, I feel what I feel. The art enthusiast either feels the artist, but at the end of the day, the depiction of the artwork, it's all about perspective in the end. There's the artist meaning, and then there's the viewer's perspective. I appreciate the viewer's perspective. I don't get what you mean by that. Like for example, I mean I already explained that though when no one is watching. At the end of the day, this is documentation, so people are gonna tune in afterwards. I've already, had people interact with my live streams, for instance, with the repostings of videos. Everything is not about uh viewership. You can't expect, you know, thousands, hundreds of people just viewing into something that just started as well. You got to understand that too, Jordan. As a creator, along my journey, you realize that an audience in life is subjective. You have to put yourself out there in order to create, in order to interact, in order to feel with other people, in order to connect with other people. So this is just a part of my process, and the documentation aspect, like I said, when people, tune in and out, that's all part of the process. Like I said, I don't look to see who's on, who's tuning off. It's all about the documentation. Like for example, Jordan, there's nothing to wait on. I'm a full-time artist, Jordan. This is what I do. like I said, it's not about viewership. It's about documentation. Everything else is God's work. Is God putting people in your life along your way who connect with you, connect in this case with your art, and connect with your purpose through your art, right? If you look at if you look at anything in life with validation, with that behind your mind of validation, you'll never really do or feel it would never feel real because validation isn't real. Validation isn't going to come when you're alone in your own thoughts. And what happens then? You fall victim to your own mind. You fall victim to your fake egotistical audience, you know? It's like for me to create and to stop doing what I'm doing because I feel no one stood to watch or or in this case, you know, is in and out is just absolutely ridiculous in my perspective, right? Because you don't stop doing anything as a creative because you have no audience. You're not an artist at that point. You're a performer, right? I mean, this is my therapy. I allow others, you know, within this process of documenting live to be intertwined with my practice, you know, how I do things behind the scenes. Because in the end, this is always going to be documented for the beautiful souls who will find their voice within this art. No, just just my art, brother. I haven't played games in a long time. Madden, NBA, Call of Duty will always be one of those for me. Growing up with those games, but nowadays, you know any free time, this is all I do. I don't endure in a lot of other activities if if my art is in front of me. Like a good idea would be to have a controller in your hand and then paint. I did that in Florida. I remember on Twitch. You're whatever you want to be, Jordan. You can be a soul friend, soul fan. Hey, People have different perspectives. I've met people who tell other people, "Don't call me bro. I'm not your bro," or "Don't like, don't call me fam. I'm not your fam." But I don't live life that way. Like everybody is bro. Everybody's fam. Like there are some times where if I really just don't connect with your vibe and I called you bro, I probably won't call you bro. I'll probably be like, "Hey, what's up, dude?" Like. But that's just staying true to like your character. Really, like um, everybody's bro, fam. Like in my life, it's always been a cultural thing. Like you just call, "What's up, fam?" It's just something you say. So for me, I just always I've incorporated it into soul fam and all that. The purpose of life is just living your purpose. How you live that purpose is up to the individual. I'm feeling green. Green, green. No, it's not snowing, Jordan. Survivor's remorse. When basketball prodigy Cam lands a lucrative pro. All right, I'm about to listen to Survivor's Remorse on Netflix. When I'm creating art, I need that background noise. I need that, whether it's music, um, interviews, podcasts, film, documentaries, and depending on the mood too, I might listen to certain content that reflects my certain thoughts. Like documentaries are a big aspect of when I'm working on certain pieces, and I feel that urge to just voice my thoughts on certain things in the world or whatever the case may be. Let me show you a preview of this canvas that I was working on in 2024, I want to say. But I'm taking this loose canvas back apart. The purpose of this series is to utilize, well, not the series alone, but either way, in general, is to utilize found objects and reconstruct different objects to recreate a frame. So the back of this is actually, I want to say, yeah, it's from a past easel that I took apart, broke down. So I'm gonna take it all apart again and then put the easel in front to show the reconstruction aspect of it, and then I'm hand sewing some different details on the bottom to show that reconstruction, deconstruction aspect of the piece, exploring the world, leaving an imprint all that I go. And that represents like me going live stream. It's me leaving my own imprints literally within the world. Because as long as this live is up and it's public after I'm done, it leaves an opportunity for other people to find this live stream and be able to watch it when they weren't able to during live session itself. So that's the beautiful thing about going live and documentation, is that you could show the real time documentation of an artist's journey of like myself, and that's my whole goal. That's my whole purpose. The beautiful thing is that things come out about going through this process with other ideas and things to implement. It allows me to learn more about myself as well. It allows me to speak more about my art out loud, formulate formulate more of my story and the why of why I create. Of course, not a lot, but if I happen to see something while I'm on, and I can, yeah, you gotta, you gotta, you moderate the best you can as an individual, just like you moderate your own life. Um, I don't let negativity for the most part, into my life. Things find you, but I don't allow anything to come negative into my life for the most part. Um, I don't allow myself to take it in. So I just move on. It's the same thing when you're online, when you're doing anything in life is you moderate your own life. Best thing about online is that there's so much negativity out there and hate, and people forget that you moderate your own life, like, in essence, right? Like, you moderate your own living experience. If you want the negativity to stay where it found you, that's a choice, you know? Because you have to look at it from a different perspective. Online and then real life, you know? Online is a part of a person, but it's not a person. It is not the full story of a person, rather. Everybody you meet for the most part is looking at you with a fresh eye. So you have to expect most people to judge a book by its cover, because that's what human nature is. People tend to judge a book by its cover first, um, so they maneuver throughout life and realize that not everybody, but you shouldn't judge a book by its cover. But at the end of the day, that's called that's my philosophy on the moderation of life. I don't know what you mean, Jordan. Either way, I'm here for the art, Jordan. You gotta understand, like, I'm not here to be political. Anything that happens in the chat is free will. That's the whole purpose of this live stream study. It's the interactive experience. In the end, the whole chat will be exposed in a full artwork. You guys are the living interactive experience. As I'm creating my philosophy, or rather telling my philosophy on life sometimes through my works, or out loud while creating my works, sometimes I've noticed the chat to prove certain theories of my philosophies, which is making this series a beautiful series within itself, because it's a living study based off of technology that I guess you could say is not new, but it is fairly new within our generations compared to the past generations of being able to document yourself as an artist and allowing the outside world to communicate with that artist through a visual and a live stream that, in essence, the whole world has access to. So, along that journey, like I said, the chat itself will be taking will be reflected within the art itself. So in the end, you're gonna see my artworks, and then you're gonna see canvases based off of the chat itself. It's gonna be collaged with printed out chats of the live chat. So in essence, this is like I said, it's an interactive art experience series. Not every live stream will be based off of that series, but when it is, The live stream itself, the video, the chat will all be a part of the artwork itself. So I always say, I mean, whatever you do online anyway is there for somebody to judge. So this is a chance for everybody to be themselves, but at the same time, there will be times some people will say things, have opinions that will not be reflected by everybody else who's tuning in, right? But that's a reflection of the chat. That's a reflection of the autonomy of being able to speak when you want during a live stream. But it's not a reflection of I. It's not a reflection of me. This is my art. You the whole video itself is a part of the artwork. So whatever is said in the chat will be eventually collaged. Whatever said in the comments will be collaged in a way to elevate the experience of this live stream interactive study. They all come from my mind. Where else would they come from? I tell people. Like, do these images come from your mind? Do I do something? Yeah, so always, like, that's the beautiful thing about, this series as well, is that, a lot of people don't realize how much. And of course, during this, putting on this series, there's a lot of people who are not familiar with my journey and how I work. So this is me taking control of that aspect of me, right? I can create as much behind the scenes, but documentation shows the artist's process. It shows the artist's mind. Creating 150 plus, almost 200 pieces on paper throughout 3 weeks on live stream through YouTube. That's an example of an amplification of my whole process. That's how all my work is created on canvas, any material. Not speaking about the designing aspect of fashion, just sticking to this process alone. That's a whole different process. Whole different story for that. A process story, rather. Well, your mind, coming from your mind is subjective. Your mind holds all. Your mind holds all thoughts. It holds all experiences. It holds all traumas. So when something's coming from your mind, that's a broad term. So yeah, everything comes from my mind. Now, what's displayed through that is different because, you know, I go into depth with that with certain works that I create along my journey and that I have. Um, but I always like to say, I've learned along my journey is that I create so much works that in essence everything is coming from my mind, from my immediate emotions, my immediate thoughts. But those immediate thoughts, feelings, and emotions aren't always directly tied to a trauma and a trauma experience. Most of the time, they're just thoughts and feelings, and going with the emotions that you previously already had. Tapping into, if you need to, for me, tapping into experiences that I had that, in the past, where you could say traumas to work on those. Um, but that's not something for me as an artist. Uh, my purpose is an overall scope of my mind, right? And to tell my stories, to tell how I feel through those moments, but not every moment that you're having is always based off of something. Sometimes you're creating something and it ends up being that purposeful moment that you needed to actually get through a thought that you weren't expecting. That's why, in essence, whenever I'm creating, it's an art therapy first. Of course, I go into, as my journey has gone along, I go into different works with a purpose, in essence of maybe what kind of voice do I want to display through this series. But in the end, it all starts from my mind. It all starts from me as an individual and who I am as an artist, staying true to myself, just being comfortable with who I am naturally. You know, whatever I create, I feel I can create and then create the story through that. Because once you have a flow state in anything in life, once you become who you are and you do it purposefully without caring about anybody else or anything else along that way and just focusing on you, nothing, everything else becomes easy. I'll be truthfully honest. As far as um, living within your purpose, anything else is subjective. That's individual. That's, what does that individual want throughout whatever they're doing. Purpose doesn't always lead to meaning either. You could be doing purposeful work that's purposeless, not knowing it's a distraction to your real purpose. These are things that I amplify in my work. These are my thoughts. So, even when I'm creating this, I'm having all these thoughts that I'm telling you at times. This is just a small part of my process. It's just that you guys are getting to see that process. I'm speaking out loud rather than speaking about myself, rather than speaking alone, or speaking to, my own camera, whatever that's on the side, just documented from my personal experience to showcase. But that's all extra. That's It's not important until it's out. This here and that, I guess that goes back to when you were asking. It could be this, it could be that. Um, so like this is the full scope answers. Like everything I just spoke about, those are the thoughts I'm having within this one piece. And yet again, this is just a sketch. It's just a drawing. It's all an art piece within itself. It's purposeful. It's my mind. I don't have any painting that looks directly like that image. The style and the theme and the vision is my vision. Of course, you're gonna see reflections of, oh, okay, I see the style, I see the vision, but the reflection of this, now I can take this and make it into a larger scale, right, piece. I can formulate this thought into a whole new thought and be purposeful about that thought, right? These are my unpurposeful. This is my in the flow thoughts, and when it comes to my larger pieces, I like to have that same approach, but along that way, I do like now to be purposeful in the series and the collections that I work on to amplify my voice and to amplify my thoughts, my visions on life, my philosophy, my psychology. This is a living art gallery. When you go to an artist open showing, and you have an artist talk, for me, this is the living aspect. I hope you have a great night, Jordan. I'm glad you appreciate the art. Thank you for tuning in. I like this one. Definitely gonna take this one into a larger canvas and work on the different greens in there with different shades of greens with the larger piece to make it more purposeful thoughts. That's the reality of our mind. It's everywhere. Are you hiding from it? I just want to say I appreciate everybody who's tuning in. Everybody who's going to tune in after this live stream is posted. I just would love to know if these evoke any emotions or in the present moment, or what do you see in the present moment? Do they evoke any thoughts, any emotions? Let me know in the comment section if you feel comfortable. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing so you can continue to experience a living artist journey. I'd love to have you along that journey. $128. I'm gonna finish this off with some green. The frame aspects here, I'm calling these two pieces an end thought for now, or a thought to continue rather, in a whole different light. Does that line up? Twelve. 1:25 a.m. I went blank there. 1:28 a.m. I appreciate everybody who tuned in. Everybody who's going to tune in. If you haven't already, consider subscribing so you can continue to experience a living artist's journey. And if you connect with these pieces, if they evoke any emotions, let me know in the chat. I love to know your experience, your thoughts about these two pieces currently, and how you see yourself through the works. Again, thank you for tuning into a visual diary of a living artist. I'll be back with a new live stream to work on these two pieces here that you see on top. If these evoke any emotions, again, put it in the comment section. If you haven't already, consider subscribing so you can continue um, to live out a living experience with a living artist. Appreciate you.